there was like a mom's group, and there was a bit of a split in that group during COVID times. And there was one of the chapters of this existing moms group in Las Feliz were kind of, for many reasons, wanting to start something fresh and new, a little bit more modern. There were some sort of like older ideas that were happening in the previous group that weren't kind of representing its current membership. And so when they started that up and they were looking for people to start chapters, our group were aligned with what they were bringing to the table. So MAEVE itself stands for, this is a good test, Motherhood, Alliance, Equity, Village, and Empowerment.
Oh, I love that.
So that's what MAEVE stands for. And those are the pillars of everything that kind of gets put into that group. And, that really sung to us, especially in that time. So the executive board of that previous group, we did a vote and we closed down that chapter and we joined with MAEVE and as one of their first chapters to be established. So that was wonderful as well. And so we got to work very closely with them and establish our own Burbank chapter. So they're a national nonprofit, MAEVE itself. And I think they currently have, I'd have to double check, but double digits of chapters throughout the United States. And I think even in Vancouver, I think we can call them international at this point. So, they're growing, they're spreading, and, they worked so beautifully and hard to create a wonderful foundation. They made it really easy and smooth to kind of build that community and keep it going and giving support to stay aligned with the values, which are so important, especially when we're raising kids these days. You've got to really be stick to your values and be really aligned with them as much as you can.
Be happy, 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 happy. Keep your chin.
Welcome back, Mama fans. Today we are joined for part 2 with Kathryn Kennedy, digital content strategist, video producer, community leader, and founder of the Kennedy Kreative Company. Kathryn's journey is one of reinvention, creativity, and purpose. She began her career managing productions for some of the world's biggest broadcasters, including the BBC, ITV, Channel 4, and NBC Universal affiliated companies, where she honed her skills in storytelling, leadership, and high-level production management. After moving to California and stepping away from the industry to raise her 3 boys, Kathryn found herself building community in a different way. As the founding president of the MAEVE Burbank chapter, she helped create meaningful connections for families and women through events, partnerships, and local initiatives. And it was this experience that ultimately led her back to her passion for storytelling, this time through digital media and content strategy. Today, through the Kennedy Kreative Company, Kathryn helps entrepreneurs, nonprofits, and creators turn ideas into compelling stories and strategic short-form content that resonates. She specializes in brand storytelling, video strategy, content creation, and helps clients transform one content shoot into weeks of impactful, ready-to-publish material. In this conversation, we explore Kathryn's journey from television production to community leadership, parenting and raising 3 boys, the importance of values and representation, and how storytelling can be a powerful tool for business and connection. Let's dive in with Kathryn Kennedy.
Yes. Now that you're talking about aligned with values, that makes me think about your discussion of feminism with your boys.
Oh, yeah, that's an ongoing topic for sure. We're always, you sort of you've got to pepper it in. So we've got all of the books about feminism for boys and C is for consent. And, the different ways that we kind of bring it up. And my husband too, he's very much a feminist. His family are very, his mom and sister and dad, gave him a great foundation there. So, things like, I notice, when we're watching a TV show, like the Spider-Man reboot, right? It's like, I noticed that there are 2 boys and only 1 girl. And the same with, she's dressed like an owl. I'm blanking on what that one's called, but with it was Owlette and the PJ Masks. PJ Masks, and you just sort of like, don't you notice that there's more boys than girls? And then that kind of opens up a discussion for equity or, in representation kind of thing. And anytime that there's a damsel in distress, I sort of, make a comment. We're like, I think she probably could have got that out, got that figured out herself, kind of thing. So, and, but hopefully, you sort of just, it's just for them to notice, and I think those are the conversations that we're sort of having right now.
How old are your boys?
My oldest is 11, middle is 7, and my youngest is 4.
Oh my God. And they're learning so much so young. That is so, so inspiring. I love that.
You have such respectful, like kind children. And some parent had said to me, they're like, I just want my child's friends to walk in. And he was talking about his boy. I think, and maybe this is, I think, part of the growing the feminism stereotypes of what we expect from our boys. And he's like, I just want my kids' friends to walk in and like, when I say hi, to say hi back to me. And like, can they have eye contact with me and treat me like a human? I'm not like a bookcase or a wall. And all your children are they see you, they say hello.
Aww.
They're like willing to talk to an adult in a way that is very like, they're just at ease. So you've given them this confidence.
Oh, thank you so much. And I know Jack really appreciated your interactions at Eamon's birthday party and the dog and everything. And he still, he loves that egg sandwich you made for him. The things that they remember, when you feed them, they remember. They love it. It's the way to anyone, you know what I mean? That love, it comes from feeding, for sure.
It's true. That's one of my family's favorite things. It's the egg in toast. So
yeah.
I was calling it toad in a hole, but I think it's a hole. And I was like, I've been calling it the wrong thing.
If you throw some sausages in there, then it'll be a toad in the hole. There you go.
There you go. Yes. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. You talk to your kids. Oh, that was another thing is, so I had with Jack, he's just so, and all your boys, they see you, they say hello. They're not afraid of an adult. They're like able to voice their opinions clearly. And then I was standing in the door.
I wish they wouldn't so much sometimes.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I have that with mine. He's so verbose. I'm like, could you just let me catch up? My brain is not moving as fast. Like maybe when I was 10, I could have kept up with you, but you're going really fast. Your argument's like very good. Standing in your doorway and seeing the lists, there's these beautiful like rules and organization of like when you can be on your video games. You can see it. First of all, the house is beautiful. And then there's the wall. It's almost like a wall of like, and I felt so at peace looking at it. I was like, I need that in my home. Like,
yeah. Well, it obviously came to a point where I needed to get it up on the wall because, 3 boys is rambunctious, right? Like it's wild. They're very physical. And I grew up with one brother and a sister. So, like in the balance, it was more of a girl household, I would say, as the sort of, the influence. And so, and even for my husband too, right? He has an older sister. So I feel like that was sort of like the guiding influence in their home too. So we're both like, what's going on? Like, is it normal to want to jump off of all the furniture and try and, break a limb, seemingly trying to break a limb every 5 seconds? And they're just very physical, just like wrestling and touch. And, it's a lifestyle.
Shelly, who's not on today.
Oh, okay.
Shelly
Yeah.
Hutchinson is
so
creative mama.
Shelly has 2 boys. I've got 2 girls. I have 2 sisters. So I am all girl, but I'm always fascinated. So can you explain a little bit more? Because Jessica, you were saying when you walked in the house and you saw the lists, what are those lists? What are we talking about here?
Oh, okay. So yeah, a lot of like, how to manage the physicality, how to manage, arguments bubble up all the time, especially like between the three of them. They've all got their own, and as Jessica's saying, there's no wallflower in our group, right? They're all very verbal and, their way is their way kind of thing. And so we have to really help with, and I also needed to have guidance so that when I'm feeling dysregulated in those moments where things are flaring up, I can just go to the board and be like, okay, this is what we're doing. And it was honestly a tool to help me with regulation because there's a lot of sensory input, like bodies and moving and shouting and, all of, and a lot, just through sheer numbers. Right. So trying to stay regulated, is, as we all know, as parents, like it's probably one of the top 3 hard things to do in those moments. So having it organized on the wall sort of like became, when you're trying to get your kid to go, I don't know if you guys employed the timer, but we use the timer a lot. It's like, okay, the timer is off, it's time to go. And it sort of like took that thing where you're telling them to do something, but they're more happy to listen to this ominous timer. And so the board kind of like, in some ways, kind of took over that. It's like, okay, well, the board says we have to do this, this, and this. And then, we were having some trouble with coming off like video games, right? Like just it's something to keep an eye on, or something to, it's not going anywhere, but it's just how to put those like guardrails or, just so teaching them how, because we were having some problems like coming off and the boundaries around them. So we had, and when things changed, the kids, would get dysregulated about it because if we like switched up timings or turns. And so the way that we do it in our house is we've got we've got an iPad and a Switch and a PlayStation. And so they each kind of get their turn and we rotate it, but we had to like write it out so everybody could be like, oh yeah, what are we doing? Okay, we come back to the board. And then the board just kind of like kept the structure in place so that I didn't have to hold it. Nobody else had to hold it. It was just on the wall. And then also like when they were coming off games, if they were feeling a bit dysregulated, we talk about, there's this great little video that kind of like explains why it's hard to come off of video games, like what's happening to your brain, like the cortisol and all the different, things that happen when you're in that excitement mode. And, Bear's not so bad, he's also 4, Leafy a little bit, but Jack as an 11-year-old, you kind of switch into this mode of parenting where it becomes less of I'm telling you what to do. And it's more of here's some good information. You've got to make a good choice for yourself. Like that's my job, is to help set you up with good information so that you can start making good choices for yourself. Because, all of those exposures start happening the less time you spend with them, which is exactly where things are shifting. With 11, I feel like the shift between 10 and 11 felt big. And I know it's just going to get more and more. So giving him the information about, okay, this is what's happening to your brain. This is why it's hard for you to turn it off. This is why it's hard to move on to something that feels slow or something doesn't feel as exciting or fun anymore, right? So, okay, this is what you can do. Go jump on the trampoline for 10 minutes. That's all you got to do. You know what I mean? And then taking the bargaining out too, I find is like, bargaining is so hard, right? And my kids are negotiators. They're hardcore. I think that might be their calling. But so, having it on the board kind of also put a little bit of took that stress off of negotiations.
I love that. And it's so funny because I hold everything in my head all the time.
Yeah.
But it doesn't help. It's not good.
Yeah.
Because the brain can only hold so much, especially as we get into midlife and our brains don't work as well.
I hear you.
With being a mom, what I love about the idea of the board is at one point my ex-husband had done that. He had put like a little sign on the on the wall when my kids were younger, which was like, these are the rules of the house. Boom, 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 boom. Right.
Yeah.
But I feel like I need something more like that now. My kids are now 12 and 13. So they're entering a whole new phase. And I'm sorry to all of the parents out there who think it's going to get easier. It doesn't. It just stays the same. It stays the same.
Yeah.
We go through different phases, right? I love the idea of the board because you can set the rules and be like, well, this is what's happening right now. Let's take a look at this. And there's something like so satisfying to know that I would have something that I could just point to.
Yeah.
I think is really brilliant.
Thank you.
I'm going to take your lead, girl.
Yeah.
You know what it is? The paper roll that you can get from IKEA on their little, I just did a bunch of that. I mean, it's messy as like, and I think that speaks to the desperation of the need of it at the time. I'm just like, okay, we're doing this now. It's not like super neat. It's just done. And then I've just, but you can just do it. Yeah, it was just something like that. I just had to do something that I had in the house just to get it done. And yeah, we have a conflict resolution right here, the 4 steps to conflict resolution. And yeah, what else was there? Yeah. Oh, and privileges versus your rights, so privileges being video games, TV kind of thing. They are privileges that you kind of like have to earn. Or just even by being, and good citizen of the home. That was my favorite portion, was how to be a good citizen of the home, because, and I know we have to work on chores and money, like that is definitely a lesson for 11, and we're working on that. But I also wanted to make sure that there were clear things that they knew are just how to be a good citizen of the home. Like, you're not going to get paid for everything. Those are kind of like more extraordinary things, but here are ways that you can be a good citizen to our home, which is, simple ones like putting your shoes away, clearing your dishes. Jack can load the dishwasher, flushing the toilet. I have boys. Like, that is just bare minimum, guys. Let's just flush the toilet. And the other thing we put on there is, bedtime kind of like started to get really long. And so we were sort of like, listen, for mom and dad to be good parents, we need to spend time together at the end of the day, because we were getting to the point where we were spending our whole night putting the kids, and then we're just exhausted, and then we fall asleep, or, try and watch some TV, and then it's all, you're trying to keep your eyes open. So that's on there too. Just, these are things that mom and dad need to be good parents.
Oh my God, I love that so much. It's so important,
Yeah. I think just to be a good mom, you need to have a certain amount of space to do your creative, fill your creative bucket and all of it. Yeah, to be a better parent.
I am so inspired by couples who do like what you have done to carve out time for you.
Exactly, because, life can go so quickly, and before you know it, you've kind of slipped into a place where you didn't intend. And so, yeah, I mean, I know. But yeah, letting the kids know that it's important, I think that was the only way that I could communicate it to them. I think, like, for them to, for mommy and daddy to be better mommy and daddies. Because, like, we were getting dysregulated and getting short-tempered on certain things, where really when you kind of like pull back from the moment, you're like, that did not need to be something where I snapped, or something where I spoke unkindly, to a little kid who was just, having a hard time kind of thing. So it's sort of like, what do we need? I struggle a lot, that's why I'm making the signs, but whatever you can employ, but it's tough. It is really, really hard.
I love that you publicly in the home, I have little tiny signs, and I'm really excited to make my big wall covering signs, because I think it is, and also noticing how great your children are interacting, acknowledging other people's, like, the other people have things happening now with the Kennedy Kreative.
Yeah, that's a whole thing, that's a shift and adjustment for the kids, because, previously I was doing more volunteer-based work. And so, there was a little bit more flexibility, I think, and like where you can choose how you're doing that work kind of thing. But, now that I'm doing my own, and I have paid customers, and there's different pressures, and, well, not pressures, but like different expectations and stuff. So I have to be more siloed with my time. And that's a tough adjustment from someone who's always been available to the kids. But, and Ben's really good at vocalizing it too. We have that card game. I don't know if you guys have heard of it. I think it's called Talk Smart, or I'm forgetting the title of it, but there's these little cards that you do at the table, and it asks a little question. If you could change something about your parents, what would it be? You know what I mean? Asking the kids, or like, what are your biggest fears, or, you know what I mean? It's just sort of like conversation starters, but it's like family. I think it's called family chat. Anyway,
want to know more about this, by the way. So we'll circle back to this because I think I really want to know about this card game.
Oh yeah, well, the conversation prompts it actually is really good. And again, it's like this ominous card game. It's like if I was to ask those questions directly, right? They would be like, you know, like because I asked it, they're not that interested. But this ominous card comes out of a box and they're all telling me everything. So
I love that.
You know, it's so weird, but it is what it is. And I feel like I would have done it to my mom too. So no shade. But my husband, sorry, so there was one of these cards that came up and it was something about like, what are you proud of about your family members or something like that. And Ben was so sweet. And he was like, I'm really proud of your mom for building a business from scratch. And he's like, that's what she's doing. So I'm in this little house in the back of our garden. The previous owner was a woodworker. So it was his workshop. So it has like electricity and it's like a proper little house. And so that's my back, we call it the back house, and that's my office. So that's what she's doing in the back house kind of thing. And I thought that was really nice. It's sort of like for the kids, again, it's like when it comes from two different sources, you know, it's sort of like, I don't know, they understand it more or it becomes more real in a way or something like that. So, or they kind of like even just had an understanding of actually, yeah, what is mom doing back there all the time?
Oh, I love that. You're going to continue working and creating and doing what you do and being yourself. And your boys are going to see that. And I love it that they're already seeing it now. They're already seeing it now. Like you've set it up already. And that is so inspiring. And I think it's inspiring to our listeners too, because, you know, it's all about the balance and teaching them at a young age, I think is really essential. And so bravo to you.
Oh, thanks so much.
We always say applause on this podcast. We're like, applause. Applause. Right? Yes.
And you know, like leave it. I think about your daughter watching you, you know, be successful in your career and, you know, you're modeling a life worth living for her, you know, and I think that is, you know, that's how they take in, isn't it? Like through watching you, what you're doing, that's kind of like how we learn first, you know, is through emulating and imitation. And so, you know, she watches you live this wonderful life and be a successful, strong woman, and she's going to follow suit without a doubt.
And she also sees me fail. Like
yes, so important, isn't it?
I fail all the time and I not fail, but I make mistakes. And I've decided that, especially now as a single mom, I have to admit, like, when mommy fucks up. We all make mistakes in life. Like I'm not perfect and I love you. But I want you to, I'm going to get emotional now, but like,
I know, me too. Just thinking about it.
Yeah. But I tell my kids, like, nobody's perfect and you don't have to be either. Right?
Yeah.
Like, it's so hard.
Take that pressure away, you know? Especially for girls, I think that's really super unique to things that young girls are having to grow up with, you know, a slight nod to the patriarchy, right? You know, it's very much present. And so, yeah, teaching that skill of resilience. I mean, I think that, you know, it's not about being happy all the time or being a certain way all the time, but it's about that bounce back and resilience, you know, and to persevere. Those are the grit. That's the word I'm thinking of. To have grit is the secret sauce for a good life.
Creative Mamas Unplugged is produced by Breatheasy Productions with music by Jeremy Jurin. If you enjoyed this episode, please don't forget to give my mama 5 stars and keep coming back. Thanks to us kids, there are plenty of stories to tell. And you are not alone.
We are inspired by you. Thank you for joining our Creative Mamas community. Support Creative Mamas Unplugged on Patreon to get your name in the credits, receive extra content, and earn some fun prizes. With this, we can keep creating, uplifting, and growing this incredible community together. We love you so much. Applause.